Good morning, everybody. I hope this video finds you well. Today, let me adjust this a little bit. What I want to do is I move my desk around a little bit here so I get a little bit better lighting. Um, what I want to do is I want to talk a little bit about the changes going on into our reality universe. As you well know, um, I was awakened, alerted, participated in a rebuilding exercise to our reality universe. Because after all, I'm still in Majestic, I'm still part of Domain. Now, trying to describe that, it's not like you would say, okay, my boss comes on over and he says you're going to do that. It's nothing like that. It's just suddenly my resources are utilized as a tool in fixing things. So shocker number one to the audience here is when you're part of a domain, you're a resource, not an individual. You're a resource that can be used as necessary, and my skill set is such that I'm used where necessary, and you recognize that, right? If you need a cook to cook something, okay, and something needs to be cooked, well, you get the cook, right? If you need somebody to drive something from A to B, well, you get a teamster. If you need somebody to clean the room, you get a janitor, okay? Domain is like that as well. Only the thing is, it's not just your skills, it is perhaps part of you. And the way they look at things is they look upon things as quantum clumps, and quantum clumps can be used in all sorts of ways as part of an articulate being, such as myself, or as part of road pavement for the reality universe. Have I completely blown you guys away with this little dose of reality? I'm sorry if I did. I'm sure I'm going to lose some subscribers over it. Nobody really wants to know the truth, do they? Anyways, so I was kind of, I was really sick. Now, when I physically get sick, I'm like everybody else, I physically get sick. But sometimes I'm really sick of a different kind of sick. My body is suddenly working at 10%, 20%, and other things are going on. And this was one of those things. And so I end up getting these very lucid experiences. I will not say that the same thing as lucid dreaming, but they're amazingly vivid and very, very interesting. And so, piecing together with what I know, and without going into too much elaborate explanations, I just want to say that that I was involved in a rebuilding exercise to rebuild our reality universe. Now, our universe is a pretty large place, right? But as it was presented to me, it's not as large as we think it is. It's much, much smaller. I mean, it's still large, of course, but it's much, much smaller than that. In other words, it doesn't encompass galaxies. It's just, a region encompasses a couple of planets and a star or two. It's just not that big at all, and more than a couple stars. But anyways, in our section here, some entity or some organization or some creature or some system had been tearing up the reality universe, trying to force it into some back to the good old days. if that makes any sense. Now, it's not really the world line template that is being changed, but really the underlying structure. Now, how this underlying structure appears to me is very interesting. Think of it as sort of like a thick quantum soup, very dense, like mud. And you can create little valleys and hills in this mud by grabbing some of it and plopping it down, using a hoe and making a row, And inside of this mud, this quantum mud, which lies underneath the surface of our quantum reality. So this quantum mud underneath our reality has all sorts of etched grooves placed in it, lots and lots of circles, figure eights, and circles within circles and within circles and within circles, and they all form different cycles that various associated quanta then kind of goes into this rut and follows these circles. You can call them seasons. You can call them attributes. You can refer to them as turnings for the human species. But there's these ruts. And for the last number of decades, domain with the Oompa Loompas have been flattening out to these ruts. The Oompa Loompas, by nature of what they are, who knows what the hell they are? They're these kind of just these things, these sluggish, big sluggish things, and they're by their very nature smooths out this quanta, polishes it, flattens it. And that has resulted in situations like you're seeing right now, where this old order of constant warfare and strife and everything, which follows old patterns of the past, is suddenly left dangling. The road turns for this societies that are on the topographical plane. There's no road there, and so they kind of go in other directions. And that's advantageous, of course, to China and the rising South. Disadvantages to the nations that have relied on those ruts, such as the United States and Israel and the United Kingdom, that have relied on those ruts to control their environment. So there was some kind of attempt. Somebody had been trying to prevent, somebody or something or somewhat, trying to prevent the changes that are being experienced right now. They're trying to stop that by digging new ruts, messing up the systems that were polished and put in place, trying to make strings that attach this and that and this and that and trigger points. And I guess that they had been really doing this over a period of time, but really a really strong effort happened within the last couple of months. And of course the Oompa Loompas, they're just kind of doing their thing. But apparently Domain says, okay, it's cleanup time. And so we all went out there and was doing it. What's really cool is I actually saw Sebastian, and I actually saw my old commander off there. I mean, I recognized them. Sebastian saw me, he waved. Well, kind of like a wave. Acknowledged that he knew who I was. But we didn't talk or anything. It's not like I have any ability to communicate or do anything of my own free will in these kind of environments and in this kind of situation. It just doesn't work that way, I'm sorry. I know you got some kind of crazy idea that I got all these powers or whatever. I don't have this stuff. I'm just a tool. And so, and that was it. Big news is it's all getting corrected and polished up, and by the end of the day, our reality is continually being scrubbed and getting better and better and better. And as far as the details, there's a lot of details that manifest in other ways, whether they're rape camps or torture complexes or control centers of the old empire, whatever these kind of manifested centers or whatever. I don't know anything about that. All I know is about the basic main underlying process that these things sit upon, and they're all being polished and straightened out. When I talk about something that's being polished, you have to understand that something that is polished is slippery. Only certain things can stand on a very polished surface, which makes it very hard for certain things to exist that have been existing before, because it's now icy. And I view that as a positive development. When you leave the reality universe and go into the main universe, you'll find the underlying structure to be more complex, but much cleaner than what you find under here. Anyways, before I kind of end this up, and I'm sure that those of you who are members of Patreon who have no idea what I'm talking about, just let me say that our reality is not what we think it is, that there's a reality that we observe, a reality that we sense, a reality under that controls that, and then a various levels of further down. All limits of our organs, our ears, our nose, our eyes, what we can perceive is all limited by our senses. And these underlying systems in our reality shape our reality. I personally believe that thought and actions can alter how you observe a reality and what your reality is, simply by doing and acting and thinking. Remember, thinking alone does nothing, but thinking with action combined can generate some great things. And so in this case here, I'm just relating an event that might help explain some of the more inexplicable events that you might witness if you just kind of peruse the global news and might be a little bit surprised about. I'm going to leave it at that. Just keep in mind that that's what I've been up to lately. I hope I didn't offend anybody in this video, but that's how it works. And when I say that they took a part of me to patch things up, well, yeah. All right, and that's it. Okay, everybody, take care. Remember one thing, I believe in you. Bye-bye.